Herzlich willkommen zurück auf Victory Monday on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Richard. Joining me as always for our Victory Monday celebrations on another day. Jack, how are we doing, my man?
Doing excellent. They just keep coming, thick and fast. Start of the season, which I love. I haven't, we haven't had this for quite a while. So another win, bounce back after dropping some points, and good to be back in the win column.
Yeah, it is absolutely good to be back in the win column. Not doing it by the conventional means by any stretch, but conventional means for us never works. So I'll take it, Jack. I know a lot of people have their thoughts on how the win was and this and that, but end of the day, it's 3 points, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. As I take a sip. Rundown for tonight, we're obviously going to talk about the match that was Greuther Fürth. We'll talk about Meyer Muslich, his words after the game at the press conference. We'll look at the kicker best 11. We'll look at some player updates, some good and bad. And then talk about the next match, which is going to be this Sunday coming up. But let's kick things off right off the bat here with the game. As Michael says, the most dominant performance of the season. He was on the live stream. We did a live stream this Friday. We rarely do live streams, and rarely even more so on a Friday. But hey, the schedule's worked out, so I was able to do a live stream and picked a heck of a game to do it for sure with dominant performance, like Michael said. Looking at the lineups in this one, first for the visitors, two key guys, three key guys really that I kind of pointed out in particular. Branimir Hergota, their captain, really good player, attacking player. Noel Futku, 5 goals this season. But for me, the catalyst for Greuther Fürth would have been Felix Klaus, 5 goals, 3 assists. Has always tormented us. He scored last year against us with Hanover. This guy just knows how to put goals, especially against when we play Schalke. That was my big danger, man. What did you see from the Greuther Fürth lineup, and any dangers that you potentially saw?
No, I agree. I'm just glad that Klaus isn't going up against Gantenbein for the most part.
Yeah.
The opposite side against Becker. No, but I agree with you.
Looking at our lineup, obviously Karius in goal. Back three, Kurachai, Katic, and Timo Becker. Midfield of Vitaly Becker, Ron Schallenberg, Sufjan El Faouzi, Adrian Gantenbein, with Christian Gomes, Keenan Karaman, and Musa Silla up top. The question heading into this game was the fitness of Timo Becker. Literally the day before the game, he got the all clear, saying that he was fit enough to play. And I mentioned this on the live stream heading into the game. I said, I would rather rest Timo Becker if he's not 100%, put Kurachai on the right-hand side, bring in Felipe Sanchez. Another option, obviously, is Mertekan Ayhan, who can play anywhere in the defensive position. But since we're talking about who's been on this season, Felipe Sanchez has got more experience this year, and he hasn't played terribly this year. So that's what I would look for. But if Timo's ready to go, by all means, put Timo in the lineup. Thoughts on the lineup in general, and just how you felt going into the game?
Yeah, I mean, I like the lineup. I think outside of potentially Porath, if you want to put him in, place for Gantenbein, it depends on once again. I've talked about. I think that Porath adds things going forward in attack. He's just lively in that area. Obviously, we'll talk about that in regards to this game later, but it's happened a couple times this season already where he adds a little bit of something when he gets subbed on as a cameo. So outside of that, though, I think this is probably the starting lineup that most people would want to see from our player pool at the moment. Pretty settled, strong back line at the moment. Karius back there. Becker's pretty much, immovable, I think, at that left wing back position. Schallenberg and El Faouzi, I think, are everyone's preferred central pairing. And then, Silla and Karaman are those dudes. And Gomez is, the flashy new signing. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think anyone's breaking that anytime soon. I think we're still going to see, Christian Gomez get a few more opportunities before he starts to become like a rotation player, something along those lines. He hasn't really I think, had the big impact moment as much for the most part, unless I'm forgetting something. But I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, pretty strong starting 11.
Yeah, pretty strong starting 11 indeed, and yeah, it was an interesting game to say the least. I for sure thought that the way this game was gonna play out was similar to the words that Myron Russo said prior to the game, and Greuther Fürth has a lot of goals this season. We talked about this last podcast. So they're like something like 13 goals for, 17 against, or something crazy like that. And so they obviously have an offense, and they are good at possession. They like to create chances. And so I figured the kind of game this is going to be, that they were going to go on us from the front foot. We're going to be sitting back there playing counterattacking football. Not so much, Jack. Not so much at all. It was pretty much one-way traffic in that first half for Schalke. I could probably count on my hands how many times they came into our half of the field. I said this on the live stream. That's probably 8 out of 10 performance in that first half. The only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 because we didn't have a goal. I thought we dominated every facet of that first half. That's at least how I feel. How did you feel watching the game?
Yeah, I agree with the comment that Michael made early on with this being, I think, the most dominant Schalke performance, and I agree with what you said there as well. I don't think that they had a shot in the first half, not even on target. I don't even know if they had a shot at all, let alone on target. It was absolutely one-way traffic. Schalke hasn't always had, obviously, possessional advantage in any of our matches. We're usually slightly, it's close to like 50-50 in the first half, and then we usually have less in the second half, as I feel like how kind of the trend has been going. Yeah. And I think we were like, 65% possession, maybe more in the first half, like something, a significant amount more than we normally do. And yeah, like almost double-digit shot attempts or something like that. It'd been pretty crazy. So everything looked good. Yeah, I thought our coordination in terms of the pressure we were putting defensively was good. There was better chemistry offensively. We talked last podcast, like you mentioned, in terms of like the high goals that they've scored and the high goals they've conceded. Is this going to be Schalke kind of matching that style and this being a very open match, or is this going to come to the way that Schalke has done things so far this season? And we had the answer to that one. It was very much like Schalke's grind out game. So
yeah. If you look at statistics, you wouldn't have thought so. If you didn't look at the goals, you look at the first half. This is just the first half, right? First half statistics: 14 shots for Schalke, 0 for Greuther Fürth. Corner kicks 7-2. I don't know how they got 2, and mostly because they pressed up and we knocked. I think one was like we inadvertently knocked it backwards. Passing 255 for us, 135 for them. We had more tackles, more free kicks, obviously, and it was all around a dominant performance. So you want to see how dominant it is? I'll share a screen here from SofaScore on basically possession in the first half, and you can see right here, yes, it's green, but green means Schalke, and it is all green because it was all Schalke in that first half. Pretty dominant performance, minus the goal, like I said, and I felt like we needed to get a goal or something. Obviously, the big elephant in the room, which I haven't mentioned just yet, but I'm going to now. I don't know if it had any impact on us slightly throwing us off in terms of offensive, but I don't see it how it would. But it is our talisman, so to speak. Timo Becker, our shining star, he goes down within the first 10 minutes of the game. Inadvertent knee-to-knee contact with Ron Schallenberg. Nothing obviously intentional. They both just collided with each other the angle as it was. But as soon as he went down, he grabbed his knee. I knew it was serious. Usually you could tell when a guy falls down how bad it is. He grabbed his knee and was like, "Oh, this is going to be one of those, MCL, LCL, ACL type deals." And sure enough, he came off. And at that point, first let's go with that. Thoughts on Timo Becker getting injured the way he did in the first half?
I mean, super unfortunate. It's a freak play. I mean, it's El Faouzi running into an opposition player who runs into Schallenberg, who runs into Becker. Like that's what it was. It was like Schallenberg had beaten a couple people to the scene to get a foot in on a ball, and then Faouzi, who was also running there, ran into the defender. Schallenberg loses his footing and catches the trailing sort of support leg of Becker, which is when the injury happens. And yeah, like you said, I mean, he went down immediately and was in pain, and like he knew that something was wrong immediately. Obviously, it wasn't one of those ones where like, oh, like. Yeah, he was flailing and flagging for assistance like right away. So, and you could tell how upset he was. He was pretty distraught because I think he, understood immediately what it was going to mean, in terms of his absence and everything. And yeah, no one wants to see that. I mean, he came back to Schalke for a reason. The fans, obviously, and the support are hugely excited to have him be back in the squad. And so for him to go down like that and in such a freak play is super disappointing.
It's a gut punch for sure. Not only for us, but more so for Timo, who's coming back and. Potentially, this to be a season where it's a vastly improved one than previously. I I talked about whether Timo should have played or not, and you don't know with these kind of free plays whether it should happen. But as soon as he went down, I'm thinking exactly what I said in the first half. Like I was saying pregame, I was saying like, if Becker's good to go, you let him play, take him out 60, 70 minutes, to make sure he stays healthy, and you bring in Ihan then because it's well into the game. Ihan's got some time to kind of work himself mentally into the game. But as it were, the foul happened, 9 minutes into the game. Again, I come back with, move Kurchai to the right because we've seen it many time again. Well, not time. We've seen it before and it worked really well. And bring in Felipe Sanchez on the left-hand side because all three of them played together before. But, Muslich doesn't listen to our podcast during the game, so why would he, right? And he decided to go with Murtaken Ihan at right back, which is not bad. I think Ihan's going to be a fantastic player. But putting him in cold like that, I don't know if it was necessarily the right move, but he played well for the most part. I think he started off a little shy, but he got into it very quickly. So we got to see Ihan come into the game. Overall, I think in that first half, outside of one of the big things from the dominant side of things is the way, again, it's not the pressing we were told, or I told that was going to happen going into the season. It's more of that triggered pressing. But man, they got Greuther Fürth every time. Like anytime Schalke wanted to go for the ball, get the ball back, they almost seemingly got it back. It was almost like a Barca press where like Barca loses the ball. This is back like in the Messi days, and now suddenly they press immediately to get the ball back. And it seemed like Schalke was doing that because the ball kept constantly getting turned over, and then Schalke will be back in Greuther Fürth's third or Greuther Fürth's half, trying to create something.
Yeah, I think we just outclassed them today. It was the first time I think we really looked convincingly better than an opponent. And yeah, we were able to get pressure on the ball in numbers and coordinated in a way that made it really hard to get out of. So yeah, that was a huge improvement.
Second half statistics, more even as you would expect, as both teams are trying to get a point. This game, I remember during the live stream, and I don't know if it was Michael or who it was saying like this game has 0-0 written over it. And I'm like, I agree 100%. This game looked like it was just going to be one of those chess matches that no one could break down the other one. Possession was more even in the second half. Shots were more even as well, 11-7, and probably had to do with what I'm about to talk about here. But again, it was a play where Schalke has a lot of possession, and Kurchai, a guy who we talked about extensively on this pod, saying he's a pretty good passer, pretty good vision. And I remember in the live stream because we watched it where Kurchai started to play the ball to the left, and you see Timo Vitaly Becker starting to make that run on the left-hand side. I'm like, go to Vitaly. He doesn't go to Vitaly. He goes to Keenan Karaman, who cuts up in the middle behind the defense. Karaman goes one-on-one, or essentially one-on-one, takes a shot, forces the keeper to make a save. Was what I was screaming at halftime is like, get shots, force the keeper to make a save, because the few times we did on target, he fumbled the ball. And so Keenan Karaman puts the ball on net. Good save by the keeper. And then Johnny on the spot, the guy who had just come on probably a couple minutes before that, in Porath, puts it away from nearly the goal line, an obscure angle, gets it in there, and the place goes nuts, Jack. And that was the goal to kind of kick things off for us in terms of celebrations. Wow, what a play by Kurchai and the whole team, the whole play just in general.
Yeah, this is definitely a game where you want to get pucks deep, get pucks on net because of how coordinated some of the movements are. I mean, like there's plenty of times where somebody will break free and play in a cross or something, and there's no one there to receive it, or like somebody gets a shot off and there's no one on the back post to try to get a tap in off of a deflection or anything along those lines. And there were so many times where there was a nice coordinated piece of play, and there's actually like 2 or 3 people on the other end of an opportunity and various like waiting to tap it in. And this was another one where Porath is making a run on the outside, trying to get up and be involved in the play to whatever extent he can. And when that deflection comes across, he's able to just stick a foot out, and it's a ridiculous goal, honestly. I mean, like you could say like, it's probably more luck than anything else, but like pretty difficult to like angle that in from that angle. And he hit it, I mean, super sweetly, but pretty much perfectly. And like, look, and right before that, you mentioned he just come on a couple minutes earlier. He had skied one, I think, pretty much out of the Veltons arena, maybe like 2 minutes before, but like immediately he had an opportunity and was like, cool, this is going to net. Like I'm shooting this, like I have space. No one's closing me down. I'm going to take a whack at this. He's done that a couple times this season. And sometimes it causes good deflections, whatever else. And here he is again, like, doesn't matter. He has a tough angle. He has an opportunity. He's going to try to direct it back towards goal. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying that like, once again, he has this cameo and just because of that, he needs to start. But when we talk about the offensive woes that this team has, it's really nice to have another option on the opposite end from Becker, who does a lot of defensive work too, obviously, like, you know, and have somebody that can affect the game offensively. I think we've seen that consistently now from Porath in his cameo opportunities.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the sky ball because his predecessor in that position, Gantenbeim, kept doing that throughout the game where he just kept sky the ball. I'm like, what are you doing? And, you know, we're talking on the live stream about, like, why is Gantenbeim in at this point? Like, it's funny because, like, Porath, yes, he's Mr. Consistency. We know he's going to give us. But Gantenbeim has these moments of brilliance where you're like, maybe Gantenbeim should start, right? Like, occasionally he has these games like, okay, maybe he should start. But he has games you're scratching your head. And this was one of those games where, like, it's like, what does he offer? But, like, he is one of Meyer Music's boys, it seems, because what does he provide the most? He's good at energy and pressing or defensive ability, and he does those two things very, very well. Outside of that, not much. But Music, what he wants is you guys to press his guys. He wants guys to be high energy, and Gantenbeim offers that. But, like, at that point, like, he was getting some opportunities, but just did nothing with them. And then, you know, Porath comes in. First thing he does is do the same thing. I'm like, oh, geez, here we go. But luckily, you know, Porath got it in the net, the next one. So
yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, despite some of the stuff in possession from Gantenbeim, I don't think it was the worst game from him by any stretch. Like, I was fine with him in this game. Like, generally, this is not one of those games.
That's all.
Yeah, but once again, it's what we're talking about. Especially when you're using three center backs, you kind of inherently have to get more production out of people that are playing that more wing back position. And so I feel like it's even more than like last year for playing a back four or something. So I feel like it's, I don't know, it's just nice. And so, yeah, to see him come out and make that impact again is great. And it adds a different dimension to our play, it seems like.
It does. It does. And the game was going swimmingly, and probably until we knew there's going to be stoppage time for the goal and a couple other stops in the game. They gave 8 minutes of stoppage time, something crazy like that. Sure enough, Schalke stops playing around 90 minutes or so, it seemed like, because Greuther Fürth all of a sudden starts getting opportunity after opportunity. And, you know, Michael kind of loses here in the chat, but one of your, and during the offseason said, you know, potentially our signing of the season from last year for this year, Loris Karius started to have to be involved more and more. And sure enough, at the death, they get a wonderful opportunity. Obviously, Julian Green comes in, and all of a sudden he started causing chaos for us with his set pieces. And they get a try from, I don't know if it was Noel Futku or who it was, but on the doorstep. And Karius makes a goal line save, reaction save. Eventually, Porath clears it away. But my goodness, what a save by Karius. And Karius, again, showing, is he the best keeper in the league? Maybe, but certainly is a keeper we need at the moment. And he is playing how we hoped he would play when we signed him. Big key moments. Yes, he has his moments of what the hell, you know, every now and then, usually once a game at least, but he makes his saves this season when he has to, and that was evident right there, where game saving play by him.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make it seem like, you know, he was busy most of the game, as you said. Like, I think for them to put like half an expected goal overall.
He basically said out the first half.
Yeah, but then like you said, the last 10 minutes when they started, you know, being able to get some momentum and keep the ball in our final third and start putting us under some serious pressure, there were a couple moments where there were saves that had to be made. Not all of them were like, you know, full extension saves or anything like that, but there were some pretty hairy moments, and he made all of them. And it's exactly what we were talking about last week. Is like, just because we're getting some of these clean sheets doesn't mean there aren't opportunities that are taking place over the course of these games. There's been multiple times where you could look back and say, like, there's a goal right there that Karius directly, you know, prevented on like a pretty strong opportunity. So yeah, another good performance from him down the stretch, which was huge. And this is where like the lack of offense is going to kill me. It's going to take years off my life, because even when we're playing brilliantly, and once again, I agree, this is probably the most dominant performance we've had this season.
Yeah.
Are any of us comfortable in the 85th minute? No, we're freaking out because we can't score goals. And if we could just score a second when we put this thing to wait, it would be fine. But like, yeah, because it's 1-0, we're sitting there like, you know, living and dying with every kick of the ball. But yeah, great way to close it out ultimately. Glad that we survived the 8 minutes of stoppage time.
No kidding about that, man. It felt forever too. The 8 minutes seemed longer than the rest of the game. You know, it's you know, when you're looking at how the attack is evolving with Meyer Music's team, and it almost seems like he's instructed the players to play the simple pass versus the one that's going to break the game open, like the, you know, the wide open passes. because he wants to be like risk averse and not cause chaos and a counterattack that the team may not be prepared for. But occasionally, there's a few players that will try them. Obviously, Soufiane El Faouzi, who I do want to talk about in a minute. But Keenan Carman was one of the guys who does go for those attempts. And throughout the game, he was trying passes here and there, and usually the guy on the other end didn't quite get it or whatever wasn't paying attention. He had some nice couple passes as well. But then Kurachai as well, when he actually took that one chance and made that great pass to Keenan Carman who led to the goal. So do you get that sense that it seems like Music wants to play more safer with the passes, or just how it happened in this game at least?
I mean, I don't think there were quite as many long balls. I'd have to look at the stats. It certainly felt that way, sort of experientially. I don't know if the data is going to back that up, but it didn't seem. Yeah, it could have just been the opponent, and what I don't know if there was something that they pointed out because obviously this game played out a little bit differently than other ones we've been involved in. I think what I would just say is like offensively in this game, I think you're starting to notice. At least we were able to take advantage in this game more sort of combination action in terms of. Maybe there's a situation where a single player makes a run and beats his man and receives the pass, but then it's like, what happens then? And like, if there's no one else that's and so what I was saying in this game is there was a lot of moments where like that first man would do that and become available for that pass, but there's another player that's recognizing that and making a run off of that first action, and so we're able to link and chain some of these movements and actions together to like actually have effective transition play at times. I know there was a moment early in the match where like Silla has his back to goal, backing down his man, ball comes into his feet. Karaman starts a little bit shorter, but makes a run off his shoulder. That goes diagonally through. Becker's overlapping on the left. Ball comes to him immediately. Silla comes right back to the middle to receive it. But then you have like two Schalke players that are on the wide right that are available, in case that ball gets through, which it does. And like that kind of like attacking in numbers and having some of those moves that are a little bit more coordinated, I think we'll be kind of waiting to see. Obviously, it didn't result in actual goal return in this game, but we had a number of shots on target, and I think certainly a better and more coherent attacking day than we've had generally so far this season.
Speaking of attacking, we talk about Gomes at the start of this, where like he hasn't quite connected just yet, but we think that Music is probably going to give him a little bit more of a longer run, just to make sure that it isn't just a rough start. Silla in the chat here says it's time to drop Silla, and I would say the same thing, where like Music probably is going to give him a few more games because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And we're winning. We're tied for the most wins in the league at the moment, 5. Like, yeah, it's not the prettiest of games, but it's not impacted the defense at the moment. And so Myron Music is going to look at it as like those guys can be game changers if they get on. So I'm gonna give him a couple more days, a couple more games to kind of hopefully get out of this funk. And if not, you got Remert, you got Lassman, you got some other guys, Hoyland waiting in the wings that are probably chomping at the bit to get out there. So I'm okay with leaving Silla and Gomes out for a little bit, just a couple more games.
Richard, like Schalke's never been allergic to a striker that can't score. Just ask Franco De Santo. Right?
I knew that was coming. I knew that. Yes, exactly. No, it's true. It's true. The problem is then we hold on to him for too long, and it's the whole season was like, why did we put him in 1 goal? So a couple more games. If we're looking here like a month from now, and they still haven't gotten goals. That's way too long. I think give them 2, maybe 3 more games, unless there's an international break, to kind of figure this out. If not, switch them up, or make the substitutions quicker in the second half to get these other guys on. To hopefully, Lassen's been a super sub for a good chunk of the season thus far. A good chunk. It's been 7 games. So there's I would just say wait for now. Obviously, at the end of the game, everyone's focusing on Keenan Karaman, Porath with the goal, and Loris Karius, and all for good reason, right? And Vitaly Becker, I think we've talked extensively about him and what he provides to this team and how much the fans love him. I want to give a shout out from this game in particular, but all season long, a true engine, Soufiane El Faouzi, who I thought coming in the season that he would just be like a playmaker type guy, and that's what would be his stick, and Schallenberg will be the one defensively. Soufiane El Faouzi is doing it all. He's doing defensive work. He's getting balls. He's tackling. He's trying to make plays in the attack. He's doing it all, and he doesn't seem to stop at all. And he's been lucky with not getting the call. Sometimes he deserves more than the yellow, but we've been lucky this one. Knock on wood. But I think El Faouzi, the way he's been playing this season, has been amazing. In this game in particular, just amazing. The work rate that he's been doing hasn't always contributed on the goals and assists end, but he's there with the effort every single game.
I mean, yeah, his heat map is just a picture of the whole Veltman's arena, basically. But no, yeah, he's been great. I mean, a number of moments too where he was able to draw some defenders in, break a line, get through on the drill, and that opens up so many other things for attack. I mean, you'd like to see people like Moises Silla maybe taking advantage of that more often in games like this. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, great shout out from him.
All
I
right.
also want to shout out your boy once again, Kirchai, who you've talked about a lot. Another really strong game from him in this one. That's like 2 in a row that I have to acknowledge. And I know there was a moment, I think it's in the second half, that stood out to in addition to the great passing that you talked about in this match, obviously involved in the goal, there was one of the few opportunities where they actually kind of had a break where they looked like they may have numbers. And right as it's getting across the midway point, Kurachai, like a heat-seeking missile, just goes to ground, is flying out of bounds, gets up, celebrate. You know what I mean? Like, you love to see it. It's great when you have those sort of like big momentum defensive plays. It's the kind of stuff that like, Cole Seenich used to do back, where he'd like, come flying and make a tackle, get the crowd pumped up, that kind of thing. And dude, yeah, Kurachai both ends of the field. I thought he was probably like our most rock solid player in this game overall. Really solid.
Yeah, I think that left hand side has really become a fan favorite. The way Kurachai and Vitaly Becker are playing, and they both love to slide into those tackles. They contribute offensively. They're just passionate guys. And this is what certainly second, but maybe third week in a row that Kurachai has been our best defender out there, which is great to see. A guy who we didn't know why the hell we picked him up. We just thought he was an extra body, and right now he's becoming a key member. And thank goodness we have the depth that we do at the moment, because we'll transition now from the game to what happened from the game, and it's Timo Becker out with a knee injury. He'll be out. Schalke will be out with Timo Becker for the coming weeks. It says the center back had ruptured the medial collateral ligament in his right knee during Friday's game, and was forced off after consulting with the club's medical team. The 28-year-old has opted for conservative treatment. So this is an interesting injury. It's best case scenario because it could have been a lot worse. Obviously, I've had this injury before, and depending on the severity of it, it depends how quickly you can come in. Like when I had the injury, and I'm no athlete, right? I'm not Timo Becker. I'm not saying that, but I opted for the clean arthroscopic knee cleaning, and I was back out doing things within a couple weeks. Probably not in this level. Definitely not at this level, right? But say nonetheless, that conservative treatment, I think good physical therapy. Obviously, they have much better doctors, and I probably have access to. I think there's a national break coming up on the horizon. If he's only out for 2 to 3 weeks, it's probably a great thing. And
so does conservative mean non-surgical, or like what is that? I mean, what is?
I would think it's non-surgical, but I could be wrong. And I haven't seen all the tweets, but this is just what I'm seeing from the Schalke's website. I take that as non-surgical. That's how I take it.
I mean, just the way they phrased it, like a few weeks, like the coming weeks. I mean, I feel like it has to be a little bit longer than that, but we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe even if it's surgical, I think it could be still a quick turnaround. How quickly he can get back to the team, I don't know. But I think luckily with that depth, we don't have to rush him back in because we have some guys there. And by the way, Kalish hasn't played yet, and he probably could be a guy who could feature in there if we had to, in depth. So. We'll see how long it takes. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Hopefully he recovers well, because hate to see a guy, especially of him, who such is our backbone, our lifebone in this club. A guy who's means so much to him. He came back, to see Schalke get back to the Bundesliga. To see him go out, he needs to get back in, and I think it'll mean a world to everybody, especially him. All right, so Myron Muslich after the game, some of the words he had. Let's read a couple of the snippets that he had. He says he thinks the strongest performance we've had in recent weeks, and we talked about the dominating performance. He said not only did they have a clear plan, the right structure and organization, but also showed dominance in every phase of the game. I agree about that. He says we were difficult to play against and very well prepared in possession. Even in the first half, we did an excellent job and created chances. When we lost the ball, we were incredibly aggressive and used our gegenpressing to stop first attack. And we talked about this. I think we don't always see it in some games look as good as it did in this game, but I think given the opponent and the weaknesses that they spotted, they nailed us 100%. And Felix Klaus kept trying to come deeper and deeper into the midfield, trying to get the ball, and we still were all over him and made it difficult for them. And he said at halftime, he told the guys, keep a cool head, stick to our structure. A goal will come, and eventually did. He said our opponents threw everything at us, but we kept a clean sheet, and apart from one header, didn't allow them opportunities to score. It was a very strong team performance. So obviously, Mario Moose is up in the game. I mean, he said everything we've already said. It was a dominating performance defensively again. This team continues to amaze. If you look at the table, we have tied for the most wins in the league. Five wins, tied with Darmstadt, Elfersberg, and Hanover. We couldn't have been ended the Friday on first place because Darmstadt played as well, and they're above us. They got one more point above us. We have the best defense in the league. Last year we had the worst in the league. We have the best, least goals allowed, tied with Paderborn. What is
as long as anything like that form continues, that's all you really have to say in terms of giving Muslic's props. He's taken a catastrophic defense. Yes, there's new bodies involved for sure, but like he's taken a catastrophic defense and turned it into the best defense in the league. And like you said, this is not 3 games in now. This is the better part of 10 matches into the season now, and we've only conceded 4 and 7. So like, pretty incredible that he's been able to do that. And only, it hasn't been like, oh, started off really rough and then midway through the season we really hit our form defensively, right? It's like from day one, he has his structure in place, which is super impressive to see.
Well, we talked about there during the game, but there was a Schalke player that did make the kicker best 11, and that is Hassan Kudachai. He gets, of course, plaudits for the way he played in the game. Surprised we didn't see Faouzi or anything in there, but some other guys had some really good games in midfield, a couple guys with goals. So it's going to be hard to supplant those guys. But Kudachai fully deserves to gotten the hockey assists in the game. So happy to see that. And then lastly, some player news coming in for this week against Bielefeld. Porath took part in individual training today, but is still feeling a little sick. Timo Becker is currently out of action for, doesn't say for how long, but Peter Remmert, Gruger, Holin, all trained individually, and while Musa Chabara and Thomas Kalash remain in rehab training as they recover from their injuries. So 3 important guys, Gruger, Remmert, and Hoyland, look to be on the way back soon. I didn't think Remmert was going to get into this game. They talked about in the press conference, Music did, how Remmert was to get back training again, but he wasn't going to rush him for the Greuther Fürth match. And we'll see. Maybe he doesn't even rush him for the Bielefeld match. We'll see how it goes, depending on what the other attackers are looking at. But I think Porath would be good to have him, I think, for Saturday.
But, if let's just say two games from now, right? Let's just say Remmert's basically fully fit for the most part, and nothing's happened with Silla. Is Remmert in immediately?
I think so.
He was starting the season, right? Like the first couple games, and then
Yeah, I think so, because he brings that energy and pressing that Muslic wants to see, and he's a big striker. He's a strong. I was surprised how strong and quick he was, and not that Silla can't press or anything, but he doesn't have the physical attributes that Remmert has. So I see, and Remmert had a really great preseason. He had a bunch of goals in preseason. Granted, it's preseason, but he scored a bunch of goals. He looked good, so I see him starting back immediately. Now, whether you see a Hoyland or a Lasmer or someone else replacing Gomis, maybe, but I would say of the strikers potentially coming in, Remmert's coming in the quickest. That's just my 2 cents. I think.
No, that's fair.
All right, next game is, and this is where we're gonna end out here, is Arminia Bielefeld. Bielefeld got promoted from last year from the Dritte Liga, won the league pretty well, honestly. Good story for them after having back-to-back relegations. They started out the season with a bang. They won the first game 4 or 5-1, something like that, but they kind of cooled off since. They're on 3-1-3, 13 goals for, so they scored a lot of goals, but they also give up a lot of goals, 10 goals. Very similar to Greuther Fürth in that regards. We have the same goal differential, but we're far different in goals there. Actually, no, we have better goal differential, barely. But yeah, Arminia Bielefeld game is at their home, I believe, but it is Sunday morning. Thoughts on that game coming up?
Yeah, man, looking forward to it. Like you said, in terms of the way these teams have kind of started, I know, as you mentioned, Bielefeld had a big result early on, but another game where it seems like we're going up against an opponent that's opposite end of the spectrum in terms of what they're doing, both defensively and offensively. Yeah. Schalke is kind of been the immovable object so far that has conquered any unstoppable forces in its path. So I would expect this one to be a similarly low-scoring affair, and hopefully we're on the right end of it, and hopefully we can do a little bit more offensively. Like I said, even though we didn't get the goal return in this one, certainly the most, I thought, comprehensive offensive performance. A lot of positives, a lot to like, a lot of takeaways that we can build upon, hopefully. So hopefully we see that against Armenia.
Yeah, I think this is a team that's very similar to Greuther Fürth in the sense of how many goals they score, how many goals they give up. I would love to see a same output that we just did against Greuther Fürth in terms of intensity, pressing, dominance in the game. I would love to see obviously more goals for us. But hey, if we can get out of there with a minimum a draw, but a win or maybe a more convincing win in terms of by winning by 2 goals or more, I would gladly take it. It's on the road. It's not going to be easy. So we'll see how it is. It's a decent sized stadium, 25,000, 26,000. So it's not bad there, but yeah, I expect the road contingency to be fantastic once again. And hopefully we have another great result and we have another podcast like we've had in the last couple of weeks here. I'm getting used to this, Jack. I don't know about you, but hey, the old adage is defense wins, and at the moment that's what we're doing, and that's it's best for what we're doing right now. Is it sustainable long term? Probably not, but currently it's what we need. It's what we need until we figure out what to do offensively. I think this is the right path, and hell, Music again deserves all the credit in the world for what he's done in this short amount of time for us. It's not always pretty, but it gets the job done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I still have some concerns and complaints about things, but like I said, fundamentally, when you look at what he's done with where we are in the table and where we are defensively compared to last year, you can't do anything other than tip your cap to him. It's been a pretty credible turnaround early in the season, and hopefully we keep the momentum going.
I got nothing else unless you got any shout outs or anything else you want to do before we get out of here.
No, sir.
All right. Well, double victory Monday for you.
Yes.
Me as well. Me as well. Different reasons. But Jack, where can our followers find you on social media?
Well, I wasn't going to give a shout out, but since you teed me up, yes, my Chicago Bears have rallied back from an 0-2 start to finish 2-2 now through 4 games. So second week in a row where both the Bears and Schalke have been victorious. I got to tell you, over the last 5 years, that has not happened on many weekends. So it's been a nice little stretch here to end September for me from a fandom standpoint. But JMMangan, JMManGAN on Twitter.
Very good, very good. You can find me at R_KHARMAN. More importantly, find us on Schalke America all across social media. For anyone watching tonight on Kick, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere else you listen to our podcast, first of all, we appreciate the listens and joining us for the conversations here on live on the podcast. But make sure you subscribe and follow all of those. And never know when we're gonna do a live stream like Friday. We just passed Friday. We did one. I don't expect one. Well, we'll see. I don't expect one this Sunday, but you never know, I guess. But
he's got the itch now. He's jonesing for it.
It worked. It worked, right? We won. So, anyway, let's get out of here. It's been a good long 3-day weekend because Schalke won on Friday. Made it feel like an extra day there. But enjoy the rest of your week and look forward to Bielefeld coming up this weekend. Enjoy. Glück auf.